Good morning. Welcome back. Another week here at the farm. We've got some exciting projects going on here. I've got that 4020 in the shop. We've got the 8430 in. We're going to get our new tires hopefully this week, although I haven't got that exactly scheduled yet. And we've got the 8335R in here, which we already put that battery disconnect on, so that could go out for a little bit. But we've got a tire to fix on it yet, so we'll see. Plus, my dad's got a pretty interesting little project out here he's working on. I'm going to try and show you guys that one. I think you will quite enjoy it. As always, though, first coffee. All right, so we've got to do some work here. I need to check my maintenance records and see if we need to change oil and that kind of stuff. These fillers are from 17. We're probably going to change them. 114 hours. We're up to 242, so they got over 100 hours on them, but also 4 years. So there's that. But yeah. Pretty basic stuff there, although the steering motor is going to be the big one, right? So we've got to take this cowl off. We may end up taking the hood off, and we got to get the... So in my research on this steering problem, there seems to be two things that could be the problem. One, the steering, we're going to call it a valve underneath the steering wheel there, that basically is what's moving oil to the front end to the steering motor, which is up in there, that controls the front axle and the tie rods. So it could be either one of those. I think it's most likely this one on the front here, and we're going to take that apart. There's a couple of options that we've got for fixing it or replacing it, and we're going to have some conversations and figure out what exactly we want to do there. But there's 4 bolts, and we can take that off, and then we can see in there a little bit better and figure out what we're working with. I hear it's a real pain to get out. So Dad's got a little project over here. We're building. So what do you got?
Well, I decided I wanted to bend some wood.
Yep.
And I looked online on how to bend wood, and I thought all their steam boxes were junk.
Right, the ones made out of wood or foil-backed foam insulation.
PVC pipe.
PVC pipe, okay.
They were for small boards.
So we happen to have this big chunk of steel. What size is this?
3x8 tube.
3x8.
It's left over.
Yep, we've used it for a couple other projects. That's the bit that was left of it. So he can slide his boards right down in there. And you've got a port down here. This is the drain. I think it's upside down. And then over here we've got another port. We're going to put a temperature gauge and a pressure relief, right?
Right.
Because the idea is to slide a board in there and have water sitting in the one end and then heat it up with the torch, right?
That's right.
And we're going to pressure steam some boards to try and make them flexible.
Pressure cook them.
Pressure cook them. That's exactly. Yep. Exactly.
It might not work, but I'm going to try it.
What have you bought so far?
I bought a pressure gauge, or a pressure and temperature gauge, and a relief valve.
Exactly.
You can't buy.
Dad won't buy stuff when he's building. So everything else we've had on hand. You can see we used some old press wheels from a drill for wheels on the front at least. We'll see. We're going to follow this project a little bit. Okay, well, we'll let him work on that for a while we work on this. You know what the nice thing about 4020s are? One of the nice things. Everything is standard. There's not a metric bolt on this tractor. Okay, I got that cowl, I think they call that, off, and right in there is what we need to get to. Or maybe down in there. I'm not real sure. Clearly going to have to take some more stuff apart. Probably starting with the hood. Man, this is going to be... Oh, man. All right. Well, we're going to figure it out. All right. I took the side shields off there, and we got that cowl pieces. We're going to have to take the hood off just to be able to get in there and get to the hydraulic connections a little bit better. I don't know if that's going to give us a whole lot more access, but we're going to do it anyway. Whoop. That should come right off the top. All right, I'm getting some stuff taken apart here. That's got to come off, clearly. All right, well, I'm working on getting that cover off on the 4020 dash kind of there. It's proving to be quite difficult. I can't get the steering wheel off. It's rusted on, so I gotta work on that. I sprayed it down with some penetrating oil and put a bolt in to put some pressure on it. And I'm gonna go eat lunch. It's lunchtime. I'm sorry, it's very difficult for me to film in the shop today because there's 3 of us working in there and the radio on, and YouTube hates the radio, and it's just, so I'm doing the best I can here. Okay, time for an update here. It looks different. So, first problem was I couldn't get the steering wheel off of that shaft there, because you can see it's a little rusty, so that's what I was working on before lunch. I sprayed it down. I had a bolt in there putting pressure on it to try and pop it off. It didn't go, so I got this little wedge tool, whoops, and was pounding it in there trying to wedge it off, and the whole shaft popped out, which is not a good thing. Broke roll pin. Not good. Anyway, that comes out of there, but I needed to get it off. We'll get back to that piece in a minute. I needed to get it off to get to the dash over here. This piece. So that this would come off. This is the throttle, steering column. Yeah. Once that came off, I was able to get to that steering valve up there, but there was some hydraulic lines in there and a lot of stuff that had to come apart. The levers for the hydraulics had to come off to get the dash off. The throttle, this is for the throttle. Yeah, you can see our hydraulic lines. So we got all those apart, and then I was able to lift this piece out, and I'm pretty sure this piece is at least part of the problem. So now I have to figure out what to do from here. There's a bunch of valve or O-rings and seals in there. I'm sure that some of them are bad. I'm sure that nothing's been done with them and that they are 60 years old almost. So the problem with this, the O-rings themselves are not hard to replace. From what I hear, there's some adjustments in there that need to be very, very accurate, like within 1,000th. And I do not have the tools or the ability to do that. And so either I send it somewhere and have somebody else do it, I trade it for a remanufactured one that's already done, or I find a different style, which I have found that looks quite attractive to me, that eliminates this whole mess. So that's where we're at. Dad's still working on his steam box. We're gonna call it a box still. Got his cart made so it can roll around nice, easy, and yeah. What's next?
We'll put a few braces on the corner, and then I got to put a bracket here so I can raise this up and make it level.
Yeah. We're gonna have adjustable angle on it. The idea is to have it angled so that the water runs down into that end, you heat the low end, and then the steam builds up the pressure on the high end, but the board's not actually setting in the water. I don't know, we might drill a hole in it or something to put a stop in so the boards don't slide all the way down.
Haven't got that far.
Haven't got that far.
Real engineers.
Engineering as we go. That's what the rule is. And you can't buy anything. You gotta use what you got, and you gotta design it as you go. So about 4 or 5 years ago, the local high school where I went to high school bought new bleachers, and Dad bought the old bleachers. Now I thought we were gonna have an audience out here for the basketball games that we have in the shop, but he's cutting them all up and using them to build projects like this. So all the square tubing is old bleachers framed, and you got most of the boards too, although no, somebody took the boards. He had some of the boards from they were wood bleachers, but anyway. Back to my 4020 project. Okay, so I need to do a little bit of cleaning in here, clearly. She's been leaking and is a little oily. I think I want to try and find some caps or plugs or just something to put over these oil lines to keep water or whatever else out. I'm going to clean up my tools and everything I've got sitting on the platform there a little bit. And then we'll try and wash a little bit more or something. I don't know. I might wait till Dad's done or later in the day so that we're not getting water all over the stuff that he's working on there. But clearly we found some more dirt. We got to get it cleaned up so it's a little easier to work on and put everything back together. There's no electronics, man. It's all mechanical, everything. Although I will say the engineering on this is quite good. See this? this here is the gear shift, right? And so if you look just right, there's this cutout here. And when we get them lined up just right there's a bolt hole right there. Well, that was one of the bolts that held that steering column in place. And so I was able to get a socket with an extension in there versus, you know, when it was like that, you can't get in there. So, but they put them fancy little cutouts. Thank you, John Deere engineers from 65 years ago. Appreciate that. All right, well, I'm gonna let that stuff go for now. Like I said, let him finish up. Maybe we'll wash later today. But for now, we're gonna move on to the next project, which is fixing this thing. So a couple of issues here. One, obviously our bracket is broken. That's a big problem. Two, these valves leak. They're junk. They're not that old. As you can tell, they're in pretty good shape. We changed them. It's probably been 15 years ago. So they're not new, but this thing gets very little use also. So there's that. So, but I'm going to take these hoses off here, and we're going to get the bracket off, and then maybe we'll tear that all apart and see what we got to do to fix it. Probably going to have to take, maybe I don't. Yeah, I think I can get in there without taking that cover off. Okay, I got this apart. This is what was broken. It had been tried to be fixed before. I think it has been attempted to be brazed and failed. Clearly not a very good job. I don't think I did that, but that's okay. So the plan here, this block without the valves is like almost $700. So we're going to fix it. The plan is to grind this off, V it a little bit better, preheat it, use some cast welding rods, try and weld it, see if that works any better. I don't know. We'll see what we can do here, but we should be able to fix that. I think these valves, I'm not sure if they're leaking that bad or not, but they do leak. Either way, I got to take them out because we're going to make this thing very hot and it will melt the seals. So if they're not bad, they will be. Problem is, I don't know that once I take them out, I'll be able to put them back in. So there's that, but we gotta take these roll pins out of here so that these arms come off, and then we can pop those valves back up. They can come out the bottom, but you got to break these covers in order to do that, and I don't really want to break them. I think if I can pop them up, then maybe it will go back together. So we're going to start there, try and take this thing apart, see what we can do. Hopefully not completely destroy it. Should. Maybe there's a snap ring. Oh yeah, there's a snap ring. We got to get out of there. In there somehow. I had to move over here to the vise, but I got it started coming out, so hopefully now I can get this out without, there we go, without killing myself. Okay, now this whole thing should pull right out. There you go. Okay, cool. There's one down. Now the problem with this design, and for its day it was fine, but the whole valve body slides inside the valve there, the whole, yeah, whatever. And so the O-rings that are inside there get worn out, and then they start leaking, basically. Okay, I got both connectors or couplers out, barrels, and I took the connectors for the hydraulic lines off. And we're going to clean this thing up a little bit, and then we'll start grinding maybe. Okay, so we've got our part all apart and shined up. I ground off the old brazing stuff and V'd out the crack a little bit so that we can get in there. I've been doing some research, meaning reading a couple of articles on the internet about how to weld cast iron. I have some cast iron rods here. These are nickel 55 Hobart rods. They're a little thin. I think 3/32 is probably... This is a big crack. I could use a thicker rod, but these are what I have, so that's what we're going to use. It seems that preheating and allowing it to cool very slowly are critically important here. So I found one article that said between 5 and 1200 degrees. That's a pretty broad range, but I think we're going to start with the old propane torch, and if we have to, we'll break out the acetylene to get it preheated. We're going to try and weld it up, and then it's said to like bury it in a bucket of floor dry or kitty litter or something to let it cool slowly and kind of trap the heat in. So I guess we'll try that. I don't know. We're learning as we go here. $300. Ways to go. I think we're going to need the bigger torch. to 900 degrees or so, 850, 970. Should be warm enough. That will need for you. Well, it doesn't look too bad. I'm going to do a little bit more on this side and then flip it. Think that's hot? Not as hot as it was, 400 degrees. All right, I'm about done here. I'm gonna do just a little bit more, but I don't want this side to be raised because it has to sit flush against the tractor, so we'll probably have to grind it later, but I'm gonna fill in just a little bit more and a little over here. All right, I'm gonna throw a little bit more heat on it, and then we're gonna stick it in the kitty litter. Remember when I told you guys we were getting a bunch of stuff from the vet clinic? Kitty litter. We were going to use it for floor dry, but I'll use it for this. And don't worry about getting it in the valve. I can clean it out of there. So we're just going to bury that in there till tomorrow. We'll dig it out and see how it does. I don't know. Okay, well, aside from the 20-minute clip that I just made welding that and now had to edit through and shrink down to something usable for this video, which I don't know. I think it's going to hold. It looked pretty good, I thought, but you guys feel free to tell me what I did wrong, because you always do, so counting on it. But no, it'll be fine. It doesn't really, I mean, it's holding that hydraulic valve body to the back of the tractor, so it's not a high-stress place. It is going to have some hoses and stuff hanging on it, and that's what caused it to crack, the weight of the hoses and stuff vibrating. So I want it to be strong, but it's not an axle, is what I'm saying. So we'll see what that looks like tomorrow. I did order the steering valve for this, a replacement for that. So I'll show you that when it gets here, maybe by the end of the week. I don't really know. I've got some other parts coming tomorrow for some other stuff. Yeah. Also, we are in the midst of the biggest snowstorm we've had in about 6 or 7 years right now, although it's not snowing very much right now. But they were calling for 10 to 12 inches of snow between now and tomorrow. I don't know. Phil's already started scraping driveways, so we'll see. I'm supposed to have 2 seed delivery trucks coming tomorrow. I don't know that they're going to make it, but we'll see. So, and then tomorrow night is when it's finally supposed to get super cold. They've been calling it for a long time and keep pushing it off, and we haven't got there yet, but it is supposed to get cold. We'll see. Not as cold as at one time they told us it was going to be, though. Anyway, I'm going to call that good for today. So you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching. Questions, comments, leave them down below. Hit the like and subscribe button for me. We'll see you again tomorrow. Keep working on our 40/20. Oh yeah, one more thing before I go. I think Dad's about done with his steam box here. Needs a heat shield for his tires, we think, because with that sitting there, the torch either under it or on top, haven't completely figured that out yet. It might make them tires a little warm, and they're rubber and air filled, so no good. But got it on a nice cart. He's got this end with this tube here so that it pivots. You can take this out and lift it up, set that back in there so it sits on top of it, makes it level, putting stuff in and out, whatever. Should work. We're gonna test it and find out. Oh, he's gonna paint it. Gotta paint it first. We're gonna film it. Don't worry, we're gonna film it when he does test it.